Unrest in Egypt, violence has broken out in several parts of the country as supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi hold nationwide rallies demanding his reinstatement. At least 3 people were killed in the capital, Cairo, after security forces opened fire on pro-Morsi demonstrators. The violence broke out as the protesters were marching towards the Club of the Republicans Guard, where Morsi is being held. Clashes also broke out between supporters and opponents of Morsi in the city of Luxor. 2 people were killed there. Another person was killed in Giza, while 20 others were wounded during similar clashes in the city of Damanhur. The pro-Morsi protests have been held in response to a call by the Muslim Brotherhood, who urged supporters to pour into the streets on the, quote, Friday of Rage. On Wednesday, the army toppled President Morsi in reaction to protesters' demands for his resignations. As the pro-Morsi rallies got underway, opponents of the deposed leader called for rival rallies to protect what they called the country's new revolution. In another development, gunmen have attacked an airport in the Sinai town of Arish. Let's talk with Mohammed Sharif. He's a member of the Conscience Front, who joins us from Egypt's capital, Cairo. Mohammed Sharif, this is not unexpected. What do you think is going to transpire? Are we going to get from the Muslim Brotherhood any type of statement or announcement regarding their obviously pro-Morsi protesters coming out on the streets in order to keep this from spiraling out of control?
In a democratic process, the harshest act of violating rights is a coup d'etat. So where the ballots are not respected, where the results are nulled. So this is really the harshest act of violence. But in general, the Muslim Brotherhood, they usually resort to peaceful tactic. I know they will keep their pressure, they will mass. In Egypt, you know, the pretext for this coup d'etat was a head count in Tahrir Square. If we go by that principle of head count, you'll find maybe 20 to 30 million Egyptian out in whole Egypt, or in the whole of Egypt today. This is more than on the day of the abrogation of Mubarak. Of course, this is laughable to use the head count. We should resort to the ballots, where every vote should count at the ballot, not a murky head count like what happened, and to make it a rule makes democracy, how do you say it, you know, it's really laughable, it's outrageous, you know, to resort to such fool tactics. It says, you know, that we are not democratically prepared. It's just, you know, to take the will of the people, you have to resort to violence, you have to resort to any other tactics. If you want to do a real count, we were on the verge of parliamentary elections that should be in 2 to 3 months at the most. And if you have like the pretext for the coup, it's the will of the people, yes, I myself and everyone would really respect it if we go to the polls and they win. Those who would win will have everything without the need for a coup d'etat. In the meanwhile, you preserve the democratic path and the democratic process that we just started. If you win the parliamentary elections, then you have the legislative branch and you have the executive branch, because the parliament appoints the cabinet. And also you'll have more powers than the president has. If you have complaints about the constitutional articles, if you have the majority, you can easily change it. So why do we resort to such violence? Why do we abort a democratic process that just started? That's the question. So
well, let me come up with an answer for you. Let me come up with an answer for you in form of updates. Mohammed Sharif, let me jump in here. and inform you of what has occurred right now. And I'm going to read this. It's not in any consecutive order. Egypt's interim president has appointed a new head for general intelligence. That's update number one. You have the upper house that's been now dissolved, the upper house of parliament. Update number two. The interim president also appointed an advisor for security affairs. You have a new head of intelligence that's been instated now. And also, he has dissolved the Shura Council, the interim president. You have 5 major developments coming through right now. You were talking about democracy. What do you think about the dissolvements that have taken place through the army-appointed interim leader?
It doesn't. None of this will really settle, violating people's rights, People are out determined and they will be determined. Even though, you see the screen in my back, it's not really reflecting the real situation. It's misleading because this is just coming from Tahrir Square. But you have to see, the masses elsewhere. Probably you had it on your screen. But in any case, such measures are against my will and against the will of the people. It's not the idea of being supportive of Morsi or anyone. It's the idea of preserving a democratic path, a democratic process, not to abort it so early and to give up to a military rule. We are now back not just to square one 2 years ago where we had the military, the Supreme Armed Force Council in charge. No, it's going back 60 years to the Egyptian Revolution, 1952. You had a similar revolution in Iran at that time also. It's not a revolution, you had a similar coup against Mossadegh government. And the main parties are still, they have their hands here and there since then.